No, some of the worst atrocities in Brume were committed by the other humans, other survivors. Now home was anywhere I could find a moment's rest. Now home was me. I stood and strapped my leather pouch to my thigh, ready to begin my morning rounds. If I was lucky, the roaming gangs wouldn't be out for hours. They tended to party pretty late, getting drunk on whatever was left in the old liquor store or the cabinets of the houses they'd raided that day. Some of them were even brewing their own booze now. That might explain the bodies I'd found slumped out on the porch when I snuck in here last night. They'd had no cuts or bite marks that I could see. They weren't elderly and didn't look sick. They were rather young and simply still. Forever still. Broken glass lay on the doormat, as if they'd dropped bottles on their way out. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but the quiet of morning brought a clarity with it, and now I was pretty sure those two had accidentally poisoned themselves to death by drinking bathtub gin. I imagined so many of the gang members drank booze just to forget about the horrors of life in Brume, and these two wouldn't be the first to have died from it. Stupid. But then, my assumption of their stupidity was based mostly on the fact that they were members of a gang. Lloyd's, considering the X-shaped scar on each of their left cheeks. Lloyd liked his followers well marked. He reveled in the glory of being the leader of a group, even if that group was a bunch of mindless clones, intent on pleasing him enough to go on surviving. Maybe I'd never thought the gang members were all that intelligent because they were followers, and I was anything but a follower. If you swore allegiance to Lloyd or any of the other gang leaders, you didn't have to worry so much about food or clothing or even safety. But I'd be damned before I sold my soul for an apple or a heavy jacket. The only thing that had ever tempted me was the promise of sage. It was the most valuable thing you could find or trade in Brume. The only thing known to mask human scent from the Rippers. Rumor had it that a couple of the gang leaders had bags of the stuff. But not even sage was worth selling my soul. A woman's scream filtered in from the distance, but it wasn't followed by any chewing sounds, so I was willing to bet it was a screamer. I'd never seen one. Those who did generally didn't live to talk about the experience. But rumor had it they were large and bird-like, with bony, translucent wings. With their patchy gray coloring, they blended perfectly with the clouds as they flew above Brume. Their calls were the screams of their victims, mimicked perfectly, bait to draw other people to them. Nasty things. I hoped I'd never run into one. So far, so good. My stomach rumbled its argument that we should find something to eat, but I pushed down the hunger. There were more important things on my plate to be dealt with first. I grabbed my bat from the floor by the dusty mattress I'd slept on. It was comforting, the sensation of that bat in my hand. The wood was worn where I gripped it. I'd had it for a long time now, and it bore the bloodstains to prove it. This bat had saved my life on several occasions. If it were human, it might have been my friend. I didn't have many of those. If I was honest, I had just the one. Leah. But she was loyal, protective, kind, and generous, which made her much more valuable than the bat. The floorboards creaked beneath my feet as I moved to the bedroom door, pausing to listen to whatever could be on the other side of it. Ready to swing at anything that might come at me, I threw the door open. But the hall was empty, the house still. The hammering of my heart in my ears quieted until it was once again the solid, familiar thumping in my chest that reminded me on the regular that I'd survived another moment in Brume. Some days it seemed like Brume was too terrible to be real. Moving through the house, I stayed alert, but managed to keep any paranoia at bay. A steady hand and a clear head were key to staying alive in Brume. Something I'd learned after facing down my first Ripper alone, when I'd pretty much failed at both. My